Welcome back everyone to a new video on my road to 2200 in which I will go through one of my games and analyze it in great detail for you. I explain what went through my mind during the game and what my thought process was during calculations. So now I first want to say something about last episode in which we played someone I believed who was using an engine to win his games. Now I can confirm it was indeed the case because his account was banned on chess.com. So anyone who hasn't seen the video yet, I would highly recommend watching it after the video because it was a nice positional battle. So now let's dive right into the next game. In this video, we're going to see the move d4, and after d4 I have a really big preference for the move f5, the Dutch defense. I am from the Netherlands myself and I really enjoyed this opening ever since I started playing. Now there's, for example, the move bishop g5 that black can play, which is called the Hopton attack. And if you try to play the Dutch defense, you have to have a weapon against this one. Also, there's knight c3 and after knight f6, bishop g5, which is also a pretty annoying line. You have to know that you immediately have to put pressure on the center with the move d5 so he doesn't play e4. And what happens is that he doubles the structure and you really have to know what to do against this. This is still really fine for black and you have a lot of space in the center, but you do have to know how to develop your pieces. But instead of all that, he decides to play the move c4, and c4 is a really principled move. You take as much control of the center as you can. And after that, I play the move knight f6, also defending the e4 square once more. After that, he plays the move knight c3, attacking the e4 square, trying to play e4 at a later stage. Now, after this, I play the move e6, and there's a lot of other things that black can do, for example, g6, bishop g7, and castles, which is the Leningrad variation. Also, there's e6, d5, c6, the Stonewall variation, but in this game, I just decide to play it a bit more classical, which is after e6, and he plays knight f3, I play the move bishop to b4, and if he plays the move a3 trying to kick away the bishop, I just take and damage his structure, and I am happy to give up the bishop pair because it's going to be a pretty close position. Now after this, he should play the move g3, trying to develop his bishop to the long diagonal before I can do that at a later stage. He decides not to do that, which gave me the long diagonal and an advantage in the mid game, I believe. Now after this, he didn't play the move a3, he also didn't defend the knight with his queen, but he decided to play the move bishop d2. And bishop d2, it is a book move, it's theory, but I'm not really a fan of that variation for white. So I was pretty happy seeing it. After this, I castle, and after castles, he should play g3, developing his bishop to the g2 square, but he plays e3, trying to develop it to the d3 square. This isn't the optimal way to develop, and that's why I got an advantage in the opening, I think. After this, I play the move b6, developing my own bishop to the long diagonal, taking advantage of the fact that he plays it on d3. And after this, I really want to take the knight and make sure the bishop has to take. After that, I can play the move knight e4, really putting a strong knight on the e4 square. Right now, he plays bishop e2. I play bishop b7 at the castles, and this is the last time I'm able to attack his knight, because else he can move it away, and I could just take the bishop, but the bishop is really bad in this structure because he placed all his pawns on dark squares. Now I play the move bishop takes c3, and after bishop takes c3, I play knight e4, attacking the bishop, and he could try to keep his bishop by playing bishop e1, but that's not really a nice move to play. You really put your bishop on a bad square. Also, this move bishop to b4, but I get to play the move rook f6 and perhaps place it on h6 to later attack the king side. What he does decide to do is do nothing with this pawn at all, but play the move d5, opening the line for the bishop. But that just encourages me to take the bishop and damage his structure. And right now you can see there's two pawns on the c file, and I really want to make sure he doesn't get to push them and trade them off. So right now I play the move knight to a6, and after that I will walk into the c5 square, and he can move his pawns, and these pawns will stay there forever, being weaknesses. So I was really happy to see this. After this, he plays the move queen to d4, which is a really weird move. I think he just wanted to double up and try to attack my queen. But after this, I can just play knight c5 and prepare the blockade on this square. Now after this, he plays a quite okay move. It's in the theme of the plan he was trying to make. Rook a to d1. He wants to really attack the open file after taking. But right now I play queen e7, making sure I'm not on this file, and after that I could place a rook here and make this queen move away. Now he makes a bad move, a really bad move. The computer says it's okay, but it's just bad. He plays the move knight e5, and after knight e5 I get to play the move d6 for free. And he could go to the c6 square, but after I take and he takes back, there's 3 pawns on the c file, all standing there on being targets. So he didn't do that, and he has to move back to f3. So he just moves to e5 and moves back, and he just loses the tempo. After d6, now I can play the move e5 as well, and this attacks the queen. After this, he can move to h4 and try to trade off the queens, which I think was the best idea. But he decides to move back to d2, also fine, but I would have traded off the queens if I was him. And right now, I play the move g5, starting my kingside attack, and we end the opening here. The move g5, trying to get a kingside pawn storm going, was really in the theme of the position, because in the Dutch you often want to push your pawns on the king side and make space for the pieces to attack the king. In this position he plays h3, which is not a good move because it doesn't prevent the move g3 at all. It just opens the f file for me after takes, and knight h2. And now also the h file is semi-open, so I can put my pieces there and try to attack the king on the h2 and h1 square. Now after the knight moves, I really have to solidify this pawn because else it will be taken, and I play the move h5, just defending the pawn and making sure that nothing happens to this pawn. And if that pawn falls, I would be in big trouble, but after h5 it's not a big deal. Now after this, there's many things that white can do, but he decides to play the move g3. It's an okay move, but right now after he tries to play f3 at some point, attacking this pawn, his g3 pawn will be very weak because it will be an isolated pawn. And we're going to see how that benefits me at a later stage. So right now after g3, I play the move rook to f7. And it's called an inaccuracy, but I really think it's a good move. Because after this move, I can put my rook on any of these 2 files. And also I try to double up on the f file. So this almost forces him to play the move f3 right now. And after f3, I take. And he decides to take with the bishop. And taking with the bishop I don't think was a good idea. After taking with the rook, he attacks my rook and I have to do something about it. And also he defends this pawn. But right now I get to play the move rook to g7. And the only way to defend this pawn is with the queen. After that I would just be able to play h4 because the king is in the same diagonal. Or in the same line, excuse me. Now after this he plays bishop takes h5, which is just not a good move because you are not able to grab any pawns when you're defending. Now I play the move rook takes g3, and after king to h1, I bring in my queen and play queen to h4. Now the computer says that king to h8 is the best move, but that's really hard to find because I do understand you want to double up the rooks on the g file, but bringing the queen in, attacking the bishop at the same time is just a very intuitive move. Now after this he plays the move rook to g1, and rook to g1 it's kind of a good move, and I think rook g1 is pretty good because it just pins my rook to the king. I have to move it away, and at some point when I try to double up he can take it once and I just lose some of my attacking power. There is a really nice move though in this position, which is the move knight to e4. Knight e4 simultaneously attacks the queen and defends my rook. Now after this he plays the move queen e1, trying to put another attacker on the rook. And well, you might see there's a pin on my queen, but once I take the rook and he takes back, he's still defended by his own rook, so there's no real issue for him. After this I play the move king to h8, which I found really beautiful, because right now I prepare to play the move rook a to g8, and after that I have 2 rooks. He plays the move bishop to g4, and it's not the best move, but it's a really good move I think, because right now I need to play some critical moves. What I ended up playing in the game was rook to g8, which was a mistake. I should have played bishop to c8, because after bishop c8, and let's say he takes the rook, I have knight takes, and after king to g2, I take the bishop. But now if he wants to exchange this, my bishop is attacking the rook and I am just a rook up after this combination. So I should have done that, but instead of that I played the move rook to g8, and now I just have 1 tempo too little to make this into an advantage. because now after rook takes, I played knight takes g3, and right now he can just play the move king to g2. And after that, if I want to take bishop and the knight, he has the brilliant move queen takes g3. And right now, when I try to collect this rook, he will have a repetition. And I really miss this, and let's see how this endgame turns out. Now he started checking me with queen to h4. After that, I walked up to board king to g7, and now he plays queen e7 check. After this, I'm going to walk all the way up the board until I hit the h4 square. And I saw that if he checks me on h3, I would be able to move to g5, and then he would not be able to check me in the next turn. So what happens, he plays queen to e6, I play king h5, and after queen f5, I play queen h4. Now there is one move that keeps the advantage, or not the advantage, that keeps the repetition, which is to move queen to f6. And when I move to g4, he plays queen to g6. And he just keeps checking me from behind, and there's no way I can cover my king with my queen. But instead of that, he blundered his repetition away with the move queen to h3. And right now, if I move to g5, which is my only move, it's forced, he has no more way to check me once again, because all of these squares, I will be able to take the queen, and there's no different square he can go to while checking me. Now he played the move queen to h7. After queen h7, I have the move queen g4 check. Right now, if he moves to any of these squares, I play the move queen f5 check, and I trade off the queens. And if he moves to the h file, I play the move queen to h5 check, and after that we exchange queens. So he now decides to play the move king to f2, and after that I play queen h4 check, and we exchange queens. This should be a trivial endgame, but I'm going to show how it all went down. He played king to f3, trying to go in here and collect some of my pawns perhaps on this side. Now after this I play the move king g5, cutting him off from going into my territory. After this, he played king to e4, and now I put him in some sort of zugzwang because he doesn't want to go here because I just chase him into opposition, and he can only move his a pawn from now. After playing a4, I decide to play a5, really making sure he can't play any other moves. He tries to hold on with c5, and after I take with my b pawn, he plays the move c4. Now I can still just move my king over here, because I'm not scared of giving away the f5 square. After this I play king to f3, he plays the move e4, and right now I just go over here, and when his king comes in, I play the move king takes e4, and now he tries to take my pawns, but after this I sacrifice my bishop, or both the pawns. He takes my c7 pawn, after that I can just start moving. He tried going for my a5 pawn, he just collected it. After playing the move c2, he plays king b5. After king b5, I make a queen of my own. Now, after a5, I play the move queen c5 check, and he went into the a4 square. But now, after I play the move king c4, he only has to move a6. And after that, it's just checkmate on the b4 square. I'm really happy with the way I was able to turn the game into an advantage in the mid game, but sadly I wasn't able to convert it to a winning endgame. Should have been more careful to make sure I didn't blunder away the repetition, but luckily my opponent was really not paying attention and gave his chances away. I shouldn't have to rely on luck though to reach the 2200 mark, and I will have to improve on that. The endgame I converted quite well, and it was with as little time as I had, and I'm really happy I found the checkmate pretty quickly. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you really learned a lot about the Dutch defense and are eager to try it out in your own games. This truly demonstrated the dangers of the Dutch defense pretty well, and let's hope I get to play it some more on my way to 2200. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more amazing content. I love that you guys are still watching me and are willing to learn from my games. Thanks a lot, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.